ladies and gentlemen. This is in the lightweight division, brought to you by Kale's Dream Photography. Your referee for this bout will be Josh Ward. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner. He brings in a record 1 win, no losses. He weighed in 161 pounds. Fighting out of JCMA in Johnson City, Tennessee, Arron the Savage Meadows. And standing across the cage tonight, fighting out of the blue corner with a record 5 wins, 12 losses. He weighed in 158 pounds. Fighting out of F5 in Morristown, Tennessee, Nick Haymaker Baker.
Lightweight action here at Apex 4. John Morehouse from MMA-Insider.com, joined by Josh Cate and Tyler Minton. Nick Baker, known for being a guy who likes to stand and throw punches. Arron Meadows teaches kickboxing there at his gym, JCMA. So on paper, gentlemen, we're going to have a good stand-up striking battle here.
And just as expected, right off the bat, both of them throwing very hard punches.
Another fight that came together kind of short notice. Both fighters had lost their opponent, so this fight came together, I believe, just earlier this week or within about a week of the fight. So both guys had been getting ready to fight, had been in fight camps, just been preparing for different guys. So we'll see how the matchup change here might affect from a game plan standpoint.
Baker's been really interesting right now, kind of his attitude. He just kind of doesn't care. He's almost goofing off, almost kind of taking his opponent lightly. You know, that might come from experience. It might come from ignorance. You know, we don't really know exactly how that play out, but at this point doesn't really seem to be concerned with what his opponent can do to him.
You know, Baker, he's always been a guy who, you know, good in striking, and the ground has just been his huge, you know, his kryptonite, for lack of a better term. Went and started working out down in Morristown, and working on his ground game, and actually used that to defeat Z Flores by decision at the last Valor show, Valor 17. Josh, you being a BJJ black belt, not sure if you got to see that fight. Don't know if you have any take on Nick's ground skills, or maybe the development of ground skills, rather.
I didn't get to see that fight, but Meadows got the takedown here, so we're going to see how much ground Baker's picked up.
Of course, Arron comes out of, you know, a gym that knows some submission wrestling and those type of tactics there at JCMA, Tyler.
Yeah, I mean, JCMA they're known for their submissions. They're known for a lot of times very awkward submissions. You know, what we call catch wrestling. You know, they're the guys that are always going to go for your feet, go for your knees. This being an amateur fight, it, you know, changes that just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
The one big thing to keep in mind, though, is Baker's a lot more experienced, even though he doesn't really have the best record. You're talking 18 fights versus a guy with 1 fight.
I believe this is Baker's 20th fight.
20th fight on the
And this
books.
is Meadows' second.
I mean, that has to play a factor, you know.
Absolutely. And Baker on the bottom here, but actually is being the more active fighter and is doing more at the moment.
And it's not, I mean, some judges actually do consider that. Just because you're on top doesn't necessarily mean you're winning. You know?
Yeah. I would agree with that. You know, if you're on the top and just laying there and there's a guy trying to strike you or trying for submissions or something like that from the bottom, as Meadows trying to posture up and land some shots. Almost like Baker was trying to go for an elbow there.
It did look like it there.
Which is,
this fight would have got very
it would have been a
interesting
12-6 elbow too, I believe. Just altogether illegal.
Yeah, Meadows not doing much with the takedown. He had a little flurry. Now he's going for the leg. Baker definitely was more active from his back than Meadows was from the top.
Pretty exciting round there, gentlemen. How would you score that one?
I would actually give that one, I believe, to Baker, just because right there at the end he was being more active. He wasn't doing a whole lot. I don't think it was really, you know, either guy just dominated the round, but Baker was being slightly more active, even from the bottom.
And Josh, you know, we've talked privately before about takedowns and how sometimes they might be overvalued with judging. That was one case. Meadows did score the takedown, yes, but as you mentioned, didn't do a lot with it.
Yeah, he got the takedown, but, you know, put himself in a position where he was getting hit more than he was hitting. So I would definitely give the round to Baker as well.
And it'll be interesting to see as this fight progresses. Baker has been through the wars, as we've said. He's gone the distance several times, had a lot of tough fights. Meadows still from a competitive standpoint, pretty new to things. So it'll be interesting to see how stamina plays a role as we progress through this fight.
One thing, a lot of things that people don't realize is how much adrenaline actually affects your stamina. And being a newer guy, your adrenaline generally kind of gets to you a little bit quicker than the more experienced guys.
Yeah.
Both guys kind of taking turns kicking, not really following up with anything, though.
Almost like some one-upsmanship going on here. Let's see how hard we can kick each other.
Direction change into a kick. Pretty nice.
I will say this about Baker. He hits hard. Randy Stamey, who assistant editor there at MMA Insider, has talked about how, Baker hits the hardest of anyone that he's fought. And, he has shown me the lumps on his head after both an MMA and a kickboxing fight to prove it.
We have an accidental eye poke here. Meadows corner crying BS, but Baker seems to be pretty shaken up by it.
Baker's had some bad luck with those. He had a kickboxing match with, I think, Trevin Armstrong, where there was just like a series of low blows going on.
He's an awkward fighter, though. He stands very awkward. He comes from awkward angles. He does awkward things. You see that happen a lot with guys when they don't have a traditional stance, if their legs are really wide, things like that. It's just a necessary thing in this kind of sport.
Yeah. Tough spot for a fighter to be in, Josh, especially somebody like Meadows with not a ton of experience because, you've got this lull here, no coaching clearly because we've got the referee stoppage. What can you do in training to kind of make sure a fighter keeps his composure when you're in a situation like Meadows here where you're just playing the waiting game?
I always tell my guys that anytime there's a lull, anytime there's a break, you're catching your breath, you're just composing yourself and keep your mind on the task at hand.
One thing, Meadows definitely the bigger fighter here. Thicker, if nothing
Clear,
else.
very clear. Oh, amazing hard body kick by Meadows. Baker shook it off, smiled about it. That a lot of times that means it didn't hurt, but a lot of times that means it did affect you.
Caught the leg there, and Baker with the takedown.
That was an experience thing too. He ate a couple kicks. Meadows knew that he wanted to land another one, and Baker waited for him and caught the kick.
Josh, kind of take us through kind of the chess match going on here in the ground. What do you think Meadows needs to do? What should Baker do with that top position right now?
Well, Meadows right now is trying to work a rubber guard. He's got his leg pulled up very high, trying to trap off an arm of Baker. Baker needs to keep pressure on him and not let him clear that leg over his head. And there he's stopped using the rubber guard now, and Baker needs a posture and punch or work to pass.
Knowing Baker's tendency is, I would imagine he would go more for the former. Meadows doing a good job kind of tying him up on the bottom, though.
Yeah, he's using good wrist control. He needs to be active, though. Active hips, needs to be working for a submission or a stand-up, not just laying there.
As we discussed before, sometimes the guy on the bottom can still be winning the round as long as he's active.
Now go back to that rubber guard there, Josh, you were mentioning earlier.
Yeah, Baker put his hand on the mat again, which just lends itself for the rubber guard.
See Meadows with some of the hills to the hip there, hills to the thigh. That's so underrated in my opinion. I absolutely love doing that. It's horrible. I mean, you're putting bone on muscle every time you do that. It's not a fun place to be. If a guy's being kind of stagnant in the top position, just kind of chilling out there, kind of gives him some incentive to move.
Meadows showing some flexibility here with this position. And it looks like we're going to end the round in this spot.
Baker passing the guard. Good decision right at the end of the round. The judges are going to see that right at the end.
Kind of a weird round. You had the stoppage there with the eye poke, and then kind of went to the mat after staying mostly on the feet for round one. Josh, how would you evaluate that round, and how would you have this fight scored as we enter the final round?
I'm going with Baker on that round again. It started with Meadows landing some good kicks to the body, but Baker with the takedown and some punches eventually ended up in half guard and passed right on the bell. So I'm going to go with Baker in that round.
I got to do the same. Baker showed the experience there, stayed calm under fire, got the takedown, was active on top, and at the very end of the round passed the guard. And that's the last thing the judges are going to see.
We'll have to see how Meadows adjusts here. Definitely probably – I mean, Meadows knows he's probably down, I would think, at this point. And it's always to me that's an interesting standpoint for a fighter. You know he's going to probably be coming out 110% trying to get the finish and secure the victory. From a coaching standpoint, is that a tough spot for you when you've got a guy who's most likely down 2 rounds, entering the third?
Yeah, it's a real tough situation because, like you said, the other guy knows you're going to come out hard at him, so they can stay composed and not put themselves in a bad position.
Seen a little bit of everything so far in this fight, even a brief stoppage for an eye poke. Now we got some cage work going on. And Baker with the takedown. Not something we would have seen from the Nick Baker playbook even 6 months ago, probably.
Absolutely, especially being the smaller guy in this fight, visibly smaller than his opponent. Very physical, pushes him against the cage, holds him against the cage for a few seconds, takes him down, very, very viciously, actually. Very fast snap down.
And in a 3-minute round, you get taken down and held for a while. Most of your round is gone. So if the guy's not actively hunting for a submission or to stand up, right now Baker can kind of he can just bide his time here and try to get this decision.
Got him in a headlock there. Kind of hard to see from my vantage point exactly what's going on, but Meadows able to shift, and now he's almost got side control. Baker brings his leg up, though. Baker definitely has improved on the ground, Josh.
Absolutely. That was a nice stand-up. Didn't seem like he lost his composure.
Meadows with the takedown. But again, guys, I feel like Meadows, he's got to finish, I think, if he wants to win this fight.
I do. I definitely agree with you there. I think that Baker's winning the fight. And I think this could be a good position for Meadows, being the bigger, stronger, at least looking guy. I think this would be a good spot for him, but he has to do something. He can't just stay there in his guard. He has to pass his guard and do something with it. At this point, with short time, there's really not much else choice that he has.
And once again, Baker more active, while maintaining his guard than Meadows is in the superior,
Meadows is trying to land some punches, moving a little bit, but, he's still in that guard. He's not landing anything damaging. He's actually not landing as many punches as Baker. And you just can't do that when you're already probably down on the judges' scorecard. You have to do something magnificent to pull it out at this point.
You think some of that might be the inexperience factor for Meadows, Josh?
Yeah, I think he doesn't want to walk into a mistake, so he's being a little too afraid to move. He really needs to open up here, and he should have been doing that the whole time. Baker, on the other hand, I think needs to start being more active, trying to get up, trying to submit, because you never know what the judges are thinking.
Absolutely. Final 10 seconds of the fight here.
Both men trying to solidify the round.
There
Meadows
it is.
turns it on at the end. Not sure if it'll be enough to actually win the round for him, but definitely looks good in the judges' eyes.
We'll have to see as we go to the judges. Cody will announce the winner of this fight. Hollywood Josh Cate's going to interview the winner, and we'll be back with more from Apex Fights 4, so please join us. Patriots won 35-31.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Thanks for making weight, Aaron. You're welcome, sir. Thanks for making weight. Yeah. Yeah. That's fine.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds of action, we go to the judges' scorecard for decision. Judge 1 scores this bout 29-28, red corner. Judge 2 scores this bout 29-28, blue corner. And Judge 3 scores this bout 29-28 for your winner by split decision out of the blue corner, Nick Haymaker Baker.
I'm actually surprised it's split. I'm a little surprised it's split. I didn't think the last one should have been split either. Walker or whatever. I don't know, but there's one judge, I think he's judging here tonight as well. I don't know if you saw it, Nick Gross's fight in the All-Pro show. It was terrible. Like, we actually were watching it and thought that Covington beat him 30-27. Huh? Bald-headed guy.
All right, we're here with your winner, Nick Baker. Nick,
don't see
talk me
him
through the fight a little bit.
Well, I can't really say I had a game plan other than stay off the cage because, you know, he's obviously looks a lot bigger than I am and he would have a better effect on the ground. So, I mean, I tried to keep it standing as I could, much as I could. I tried to make the best I could on the ground. Wasn't the best, but, you know, I hope y'all enjoyed it.
Your nickname is Haymaker, but in the 3rd round, you actually went for the takedown. Is it something new you're trying to develop in your game?
Yeah, well, I go with the F5 in Morristown, and it is a jiu-jitsu school, but he does have some good cage work, and everybody knows me for swinging like haymakers, so it's good to change it up and surprise the opponent.
So you got a lot of experience in MMA. What's next for you? Any thoughts of going pro? I think you've got some kickboxing matches coming up.
Yeah, I'm still got to stay at amateur because I'm in a 4-man kickboxing tournament to go to England to fight pro in kickboxing, so I'm just trying to train for that and go to England.
All right, well, good luck with that. Everybody, your winner, Nick Haymaker Baker.